this should go without saying, but I guess it needs to be said publicly. Every game in the playoffs matters. Every single game. You know that. I know that. But somehow, a team with a Hall of Fame coach and 3 Hall of Fame players, they don't recognize that every game matters in the postseason. Just toss away a game number 5 because, boy, we got a 3-1 lead. We'll be all right. Let's go back to our home floor. We'll take care of business. They didn't. They didn't. I've never seen a team play with so little urgency just because they're up 3-1 or 3-2 in a series. It don't make no goddamn sense. Shout out to the Houston Rockets for not turning over like some of the other teams in the postseason that went down 3-1 or went down 3-0. Just like, y'all got it. They put their foot on the gas. They put their foot on their necks, and now we're going back to Houston for Game 7 where anything can really happen. But, man, things have been looking good for the Houston Rockets over the last couple games. I'm going to read you my notes. The first one is Draymond Green. I have a video on this channel from a few years back when Draymond Green was in trouble for punching the hell out of Yusuf Nurkic. That was like, I think the name of that video is I'm Tired of Draymond Green. And everything that was in that video had to do with just him being completely extra. I acknowledge and recognize the greatness that is Draymond Green on the court, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But him picking up that flagrant foul 3 minutes in was crazy. And every single call that was not called in favor of the Warriors, the man acted like it was the end of the world. And I mean, he's not alone in this, right? This is kind of an NBA thing. But it bothers the hell out of me when it's Draymond Green. I don't know why. But specifically with Draymond. Maybe it's because he has been the beneficiary of a lot of different calls throughout the course of his career. So he don't even understand that if it's a loose ball that happened to go off his knee, that if it goes to the other team, it bothers me. I thought that the Houston Rockets were amazing in this game. And, you know, we can talk about all of the young players, right? We can talk about how Amen Thompson has been really good over these last couple of stretches. Or I really want to talk about Jabari Smith Jr., who has been phenomenal off the bench. I mean, coming into the NBA, we recognize him as a guy that can shoot shots. It was like, okay, we know he can shoot, but like, could he do other things? And he was 16. He was coming out of Auburn. Like, he showed flashes of it in this series, even though it is off the bench. He hit some really big shots in the corner. I mean, what I have in my notes right here. Oh, I don't have it in my notes. Broken plays. Find Jabari Smith Jr. because he'll make something happen. And a lot of things that he's making happen is just shooting. Right, we could talk about Amen Thompson with his 14.7 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, and phenomenal defense. We could talk about Tari Issa, even though he fell asleep on 2 backdoors in this game, but damn, he ended up with 5 stocks in this one. But the real winners of this game were the veterans. It is for another game having Fred VanVleet go nuclear, 29, 8-8, including 6 threes in this one. We got to talk about Steven Adams. I memed it, if you will, like earlier in the season. Well, not earlier season, like a month and a half ago. I'm like, man, I'm loving this new 2-man lineup that the Rockets are running. At this point, him and Şengün have like 60 minutes played, and I'm just joking about it. Like, man, this lineup is a net rating of plus 50. They rebounding 57% of misses. I love this lineup, not thinking that we will get to the postseason, and that lineup is going to be one of the reasons why they're oh my God, Reece Shepard just checked into the game. I'm filming this before the game ended. Reece Shepard is on my court, on my TV. Shout out to Reed. Hope you hit a shot in this minute and 15 seconds. Not recognizing, you know, that lineup was going to dominate as much as it does. Steven Adams was so huge today, again, getting blocks, getting stocks. They went to hack of Steven Adams. He was 9 of 16. And there were 2 times in this game where Steven Adams missed his second free throw on the hack of Steven Adams thing, and Şengün got an offensive rebound and put it back up. One was just a tip in for 2 points. One, he got hit in the face, he got fouled, he had 2 free throws. So you went to hack of Steven Adams because statistically he's shooting 53% from the free throw line. So it makes sense. If he hits 1 point per possession coming down, we feel like that's a good play for us defensively. But instead, it turns into 4 easy points for the opposing team because they're just bigger and nobody's boxing out well enough, and Şengün could just kill the glass. The zone that the Rockets have been running over the last couple games has been pretty damn good. They ran it once in the first quarter with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left. Every time I bring out the pen instead of typing the notes, I feel like I need to talk about the notes a little bit more. They brought it out with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter, and this was with Steph Curry on the floor. And they did it a little bit in game number 5 where they ran the zone with Steph Curry. It's just a dangerous thing to do because Steph Curry is so nuclear. It's kind of like this boxing one, and they got to stop there. That Steph Curry was done with his first shift, and they went completely in on his zone. Now there's no boxing one. It's like a 1-3-1 zone, and it ended up being With 2 minutes left, one of them ended in a Draymond Green contested corner three. That was awful. The one point that they did give up was Jimmy Butler baseline cut. But after that, that lineup, that zone that they were running was amazing. This is not a team, the Houston Rockets I'm talking about, that is a phenomenal offensive team. But if they can turn you over and they can force you to take shots that you don't want to take, they have a chance in every single game. Again, I cannot explain the lack of urgency from the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to tip my cap to Curry, even though he ended up going ice cold eventually. Him shooting through this thumb thing is pretty impressive, but he ended up going cold as well. And there were many times in this game where so-and-so player, let's use Jimmy Butler for an example, gets downhill, gets to the paint, and just opts to not go up. One of the plays, he had a lane to a layup and instead kicked it out to the corner for Brandon Podziemski, who swings it. Jimmy Butler places him in the corner, and then it ends in a Jimmy Butler three-pointer? We passed up the guarantee, well, not guaranteed because it was a body down there, but a layup for Jimmy Butler, the three? Jimmy Butler in this game took 6 threes. Nah, that's not who we are. We know you could get to the line. He shot 14 free throws. We know you could do all the other things, but you are bailing the opposing team out if you're getting 3-point shots from Jimmy Butler. If Draymond Green is going out there and attempting 4. And one of the worst things that happens to the Golden State Warriors is when Draymond Green hit that first one. Because he goes to the point like, yeah, this is my game. This is my game. And he attempted 4 threes in this one. You're bailing the team out. If Gary Payton II is shooting 4 threes, you're bailing the team out. And I recognize early in the series he had a game where I think he had 3 in there. You're bailing the opposing team out. Those are the shots that the Houston Rockets are looking for. That's what they want. This is the time when they went into the zone. And they felt completely comfortable with Brandon Podziemski getting all the open looks in the world. And luckily for them, the two threes that Brandon Podziemski ended up making were off them playing in that zone and him just getting a wide open look. One of them was in the corner, one of them was in the left wing, if I'm not mistaken. So he made them pay there. But then we get to the other spots, and it's not so great. I mean, this team is just bigger and it playing with more urgency. It feels weird to have it boil down to that, but that's really what it was. This is one of them shooting performances of this cold stretch that they went through. I'm like, damn. Is this karma after what happened with the Houston Rockets game from 15 years ago, whatever the hell it was, when they missed 27 in a row? Because they got ice cold in this one. And, I don't know what the line is going to end up being for this Game 7. I would assume that the Warriors are still favored going into this Game 7, considering they have Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green on the team. But the urgency has to come because, this could potentially be the last game of the season. And when they talk about when they acquire Jimmy Butler or Steph Curry's emotional telling Draymond Green, this is our last chance, why are y'all not playing like this is the last chance, man? Because it is. It is the last. Maybe next year's last chance, but you get what I'm saying. You don't have a lot of shots left. So for them to miss this urgency, and then I think that Steve Kerr is out there just testing some things out. And I think once you get to Game 6 in the series, we should be kind of past a lot of the testing the things out part where, like, I think that Buddy Hield played to start off the game. He didn't have his shot fall, and he had a stinky turnover and some bad fouls. And it's like, shit, 9 minutes left. We kind of need him right now, so let's throw him in the game. And then immediately he goes out and fouls a 3, and it ends up breaking. He breaks the 3. Again, I don't like when it becomes like, hey, certain team is not looking good. We should be more focused on the team that won. So yeah, let's focus on that because again, they played a really good game and they let the opposing team, the Golden State Warriors, play right into the hands. There was the lineup, and I don't have the data to say that, oh, this lineup was a +7 or whatever. But when they go with this ultra big lineup of Şengün, Adams, Eason, Bari, and Jalen Green, they forced 2 turnovers basically at the end of the first quarter. And I thought that was huge. I mean, Steph Curry had his own little flurry at the end of the end of the second quarter that kind of made things interesting. Like, oh, the Warriors have a chance here. Then that kind of died down really easily. They just blitzed the hell out of everybody that was on the court, not named Steph Curry. And on the opposite side of things, the Warriors were blitzing the ball handlers for the Rockets, especially if it was Steven Adams coming in to set the screens. Like, okay, we're going to make these people make decisions. And Jalen Green has not had a great series by any means. And this one, he ended up with 12. He had double digits. Shout out to him. He actually got to the free throw line more today than pretty much any time in the series, which you can tip your cap to. It was not a good offensive night at all. But I do want to say there's a few possessions where I see that Jalen Green cares and he's going to fight defensively. He's never going to be a really good defensive player. Let's be real. His frame and he just don't have the makeup of a guy that's going to be able to lock down. But there are a few times where he was in rotation where like I remember one possession. It was on this side of the court. So it was in the first half where Jalen Green missed the rotation and Tari Eason covered for him, and then Jalen Green recognized that he missed the rotation and he recovered for Tari, ended up being a contested 3-pointer for Moses Moody. He made a mistake, and then he recovered from that mistake by contesting Moses Moody right there in an open 3. And I thought that was pretty huge. Like, there were times where I'm like, get the ball out of his hands. He had the one play where he threw a bounce pass to Steven Adams, and it's like 3 small defenders around Steven Adams, which is just not a recipe where you should be throwing the bounce passes. But again, I got to give credit where it's due because I thought defensively he held his own in the series. And this is a series where, part of the game plan when you come to the postseason is you're only as good as your worst defender, so teams are going to pick. And I thought the Rockets were picking on Steph Curry and vice versa. They were trying to pick on Jalen Green. Steven Adams, man, I just can't. He was so damn good today. He was so good, or he have been so good this entire series, man. The rebounding. I've talked about it before. That there was a deal on the table for at least from what I was told, for the Warriors to acquire Vucevic. Now, Vucevic is definitely not a Golden State Warrior type of player, but man, they could use some size, and Vucevic would have been able to prevent Steven Adams from getting a zillion offensive rebounds and Shingo and get another gazillion over the course of this series. And I think today it wasn't that many compared to some of the other games. But, wow. We're going to a Game 7. And anything can happen, man. Anything can happen in the Game 7. All right, I don't know. There's nothing else in my notes of value. Once we got to like the end of the third quarter, I stopped taking notes because I was kind of disappointed. And I think that the thing that I wanted to do the most is kind of showcase that disappointment. Because I'm not rooting for anybody specifically, but for me, it just made no sense for a team with championship pedigree and championship experience to lay an egg like that again. I mean, when we get to game number 5, and Steve Kerr is asked about, like, they're down by a lot. Don't get me wrong. I think they're down at the latest, or the biggest lead was 29 points, if I'm not mistaken. And Steve Kerr's like, we're going to give them one shift. If they don't cut this lead down to whatever in the first 5 minutes, then we're going to yank them. It just felt like a team that's like, we can win it on our home floor. No big deal. And the Rockets are like, nah, y'all going to have to come back to Houston and win it on our court. And they might. But damn it, it didn't look good today. It just didn't.